Okay, I'm deciding that maybe a better approach for these videos is like I just film thoughts and ideas when I can as they appear in my mind rather than this whole like sit down approach where I feel pressured and rushed to do it and I can't remember what happens throughout the week and I'm tired and grumpy because I've been a little grumpy in my past ones. So I thought that now would be a good time to start one for this week because I'm having some feelings as I do. I'm gonna try to not walk around so much and give everybody motion sickness. Today was a harder day. I came back from being out of town on the weekend, which was so much fun. Don't look at my dirty kitchen, please. I came back from being out of town this weekend and it was so much fun. It was great to be in a big city and to meet other foreign ALTs and make friends and not feel like I was going through this experience alone, even though, ultimately, no matter what, no matter who's here, I am doing it alone because it is our condition in life that we must trudge forward alone in everything that we do, even if other people are experiencing it with us. And obviously my experience is different from other people's, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, now I'm kind of thrust back into my, isolation here. And I talked about before how it's not necessarily that like the countryside is isolating. I think that's part of it, but I also felt isolated in Los Angeles as well. So I don't really think that that has anything to do with it. It's an outlook thing, it's a perspective thing. I think the bigger thing here is just the culture shock. People talk about culture shock, and when I say people, I mean the kinds of people who are counseling you through an expat experience talk about culture shock, and really they describe it as lasting, a few months and having multiple stages to it. It's not like a linear thing or something that even just happens like the moment that you arrive somewhere. People experience culture shock when they go on vacation somewhere, obviously, but there's still that knowledge of like, I'm going home in 2 weeks or whatever, and this is all new and exciting, and it's going to continue to be new and exciting as long as I'm here. But culture shock for the long term is just a longer process because you're adjusting to living somewhere. The reality of daily life is that not every single day is like some super exciting travel adventure, backpacking extravaganza. Some days I just go to work and I go to the grocery store and I go to the bank and do normal things. And it's not that I don't like that. Those are things that are indelibly part of my human life. I enjoy them. I enjoy having downtime and having quiet, soft moments to myself. I'm also somebody who attracts and craves a lot of chaos, and that's just, my eternal dichotomy of my existence. But I think just coming from an environment where I felt so seen and recognized and like there was a potential there for real friendship, and now to be separated from that and, be just feel insecure about how I interacted and if those things will blossom into friendships or if they won't, and I'm going to continue to, feel alone here is hard. And today was also just a particularly challenging day at work. I had to do some meeting stuff, and when you are living somewhere where you struggle with the language, you just kind of feel like a burden all the time. I was very forthright about my Japanese knowledge coming on this. I did not do well on the Japanese exam that was given during the interview. It was very clear that I didn't have any language ability. I still got the job. I was still placed here. I really shouldn't feel like a burden. Had they wanted somebody with language ability, I believe that they could have made that request. So I shouldn't feel like a burden, but I do. Japanese people here aren't as comfortable talking with me, I feel like, because of that. And I just feel uncomfortable in certain situations because I don't really know how to engage. The one thing that really kind of sent me over the edge today, though, and I feel a little bit silly actually saying this out loud, but I'm hoping maybe talking about it into the void will make me feel better. They asked me to take my nose ring out this week, only at work, only at school. I can still wear it, when I'm not working and when I'm off the clock, so to speak, so after school on weekends. It's not a big deal. I knew that it might be a problem coming here. Again, the piercings were something that were on my application and they had photos of me too, but I don't really know how visible it was. I don't know how much of a surprise it was when I got here. My area is relatively chill when it comes to requirements like that, but it's still Japan. It's still kind of conservative, specifically in the workplace. So I kind of knew it might be a problem. But since it had been a few weeks, I kind of thought it would be okay. They told me today I need to take it out for work. It's fine. It's really not a big deal. But for some reason, it just hurt me. I think it's because I have this thought in the back of my mind that maybe it has been bothering people the whole time and they've just now told me, which is another kind of work culture thing in Japan. People aren't quite as upfront with you about stuff like that. Things kind of are danced around until they're spoken in a kind of moment where you're like, oh, was this a problem all this time and I'm just now being let in on that and I didn't realize that? Probably not like that. It's probably something that maybe like, you know, one of the teachers brought it up, or they just kind of thought about it, or, you know, it probably just wasn't even really on their radar so much. These people have other more important jobs to do than worry about my facial jewelry. But for some reason, it just kind of sent me in a spiral. I feel really attached to my nose ring, my nose piercing. It was a big deal when I got it for me because I just wanted it for a long time, and it was like a bodily change that I was very excited to do, and it feels like a part of me. I forgot that it was even on my face. It's like that much of a part of me. I didn't even really think about it at all while I was here. And so I guess it just feels like my expression is being limited, which is again another thing that I knew about coming into the Japanese workforce. It's just, there is a culture of conformity. I don't really mind dressing modestly. I don't really mind covering my tattoo, which they haven't even asked me to do, by the way. I've had it showing a few times and that hasn't been an issue. I think maybe just the facial stuff is a bit more taboo. But something about taking out my piercing is really getting to me. It's an extra labor that I'm gonna have, right? Because I don't want it to close, which I don't think it will, because I've had it for over 2 years now. So I think having it out during the 8-hour workday and putting it back in after, I think it'll be fine. It is like a little bit of extra kind of like labor that I have to do every day to like my morning routine. And because I feel like it's just such a part of my body, I guess it feels like a part of me is being like rejected a little bit, which just wasn't a great thing to add on top of already feeling like an outsider today, because I had some difficult interactions in Japanese, a broken Japanese English translating circumstance. It's got me a little bit down. I'm trying to not care too much about it. If my whole identity is reduced to like this one piece of jewelry on my face, that's a little bit silly. I had most of my life, I lived without a nose ring. I think it was just kind of a little icing on the cake moment of already feeling the isolation from settling back in after my trip, and already kind of feeling bad that my Japanese skills were not doing me any favors with my coworkers at work today, and now I have to change something about myself physically. I already kind of feel very physically like an outsider here. Obviously, I don't look Japanese at all. I'm, you know, more curvaceous than Japanese women, and I feel like that's something that other people notice. Okay, my phone died before I was able to finish that thought, and I kind of started to veer off on a whole conversation about like body image in Japan, which honestly needs to be its own topic because that's a big thing. But the point is that today I was just kind of feeling like I didn't really know how to live. Just normal moving to a foreign country things. Okay, I'm currently in the middle of getting ready for work, but I just wanted to update that yesterday was my first day taking out the nose ring and then putting it back in after work. And it was totally fine, holding closed. So I think that, you know, it'll survive my 8-hour work days. It's all good. I realized I was being silly the other night after a good night's rest and thinking about it. I remembered everything that everyone here has done for me and the opportunity that they've given me. And it's really not such a big ask me to take it out while I work.